presented by Prize Picks. $100 match on your first deposit. Welcome to Light Years. I got my friend Aaron sitting in with me today. Aaron, how you doing?
Better than I deserve. Thank you for having me. Always love hanging out with you and the Light Years goons. Happy to be here.
You know, it's just a long off season. On the one hand, it's fun to do like rumor mongering. Can this move get the Warriors back into the mix? I personally think multiple moves are needed to get them back into the mix seriously, but you can only start with one.
Right. Yeah.
At the same time, we're just waiting it out. None of this stuff's going to happen for another 6 weeks, if at all. Right? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I've been enjoying the playoffs. So how about you?
Yeah. Although, there's this thing about kind of the narrative that's going around where this is the official passing of the torch, because the last time none of Steph, LeBron, nor KD were in the second round of the playoffs was, I believe, 2004. So,
Right.
It's been 20 years. So I am feeling a little nostalgic about, I guess.
Do you buy that?
I would say me and you. I would say our generation of superstars.
Sure.
I'm feeling a little nostalgic, but the basketball has been really good. And
Do you buy that? Do you buy that it's official passing of the torch?
So I'd buy it. I think it's a two-pronged question, because a lot of the time when it's presented as the next face of the NBA. Like
Right.
who is, and
Who's
my answer to that is
Steph, LeBron, blah blah blah.
Yeah. My answer to that is Wemby, because all of the guys now have passed Steph and LeBron on the court. Some of them, a few of them have passed Steph, LeBron, but none of them will be the faces of. There will be no faces of the NBA until Steph and LeBron retire, other than the two of them. So by the time that they're both gone, I think that this current crop will have probably aged out of being the face of the league. So my answer to that is Wemby. But on the court, yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like Ant. I mean, we knew Joker, but Ant is there, and Luka has this season kind of put his stamp on. He's definitely better than LeBron. He may be also better than Steph. So yeah, on the court, yeah, I am seeing a little bit of it, and it's making me nostalgic.
It's interesting. I feel the opposite. Look, at some point they're all going to retire. At some point it's going to be over, and they don't rule the NBA the way they used to. Right? That goes without saying. But do I believe it's impossible for Steph Curry, or let's just say LeBron and KD as well, obviously it's more a Warriors show, to be the lead player on a contender? Yeah, I still think they can do that in 2024, 2025.
Oh, yeah, I agree,
really,
100%.
I mean, they can't do it with their current rosters, but that's kind of the discussion point,
Right. Yeah, and I've been enjoying the playoffs, but it's been a little like, I don't know. It's been a little. I've been a little sad not seeing some of the the old standbys. I've been missing some of the old standbys, because it's, whether you love them or hate them, it's fun to root for them or against them. So, but yeah, I mean, the playoffs have been pretty compelling.
I've been thinking about it a lot. And I actually think I don't want to say it was good that the Warriors got bounced in the play-in, but if there's any hope that they're going to take advantage of the optionality they have this offseason, with Klay's contract expiring, with Chris Paul being a expiring trade chip, with some of the tools they have to remake their roster that they maybe haven't had the last couple of years, getting embarrassed in a play-in game while Steph is still playing at basically an MVP level for majority of the season is the way to do it. The worst case scenario would have been if they got through the play-in and they looked okay-ish enough that they could fool themselves into thinking, all we need to do is replace Dario Saric. And find you know what I'm saying? Like, at least now, I don't think any Warrior person.
Bielitsa back. That'll solve it.
Exactly. I don't think anyone's looking at the Warriors and be like, you know what they're missing? Shooter off the bench. They're looking at it saying, like, we need to make a couple structural changes to the starting lineup. Maybe you think it's a second scorer. Maybe you think it's a defensive anchor. Maybe you think it's a new wing. Maybe you think it's all three. And maybe it's somewhere in the middle of all that. Everyone's of the opinion, if they want to make playoff noise and make one last run in it with Steph Curry, there has to be some serious changes to the starting group.
Yeah, so I think there's two ways to look at this. And so I guess my devil's advocate thing about them getting crushed by the Kings. And mediocre they looked for much of the season. Now, I think a lot of that is probably on Draymond, because when Draymond was playing, the Warriors played at around a 4 seed pace, which previous to this year could have been a 2 seed pace in most Western conferences.
They were about a 50. They were about a 50 win team from Draymond's return to the end of the season.
Yeah, and if you include when he was, other than he got suspended, what was it, for 5 games or something before that also. So I think that's what you can look at it like. Yeah, the Warriors are not that far away, but I think that the devil's advocate thing here might be by getting crushed by the Kings. Does that say we're too far away? Maybe. So like, you don't want to tinker around because it's not worth it. I don't know. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just saying maybe.
If you have Stephen Curry, who's still firmly playing at a certain level, how many players in the NBA do you think are capable of being the best player on a title team? Let's ignore the fact that some of them can do it with less than others. Obviously, Jokic is probably the best player in the NBA right now. He probably needs less support around him than.
And Jamal Murray has been pretty ordinary this playoffs, and
Jamal's not even an all-star, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's kind of like my point. Like, if they get a good Jamal Murray, he has enough around him.
Yeah. How many guys? Yeah, I mean, Steph is absolutely in that group.
I would say 8 to 10. Maybe?
Yeah, and I would default to. We've never seen it from KD, but I will still say LeBron, probably, because we've seen it a few years ago. KD, Luka, but we've never seen it. Like, we're waiting.
No, but I do think.
Yeah, I think Luka,
a level where you can imagine him being the driving force of it.
Yeah, I mean, imagine it with Embiid, but we never see it. Like, he has a chance to do it all the time, and it never happens. And then there's the group of guys that probably, but we haven't seen it yet, but they haven't had enough time maybe to have enough opportunities, like Shea, like Ant.
Yeah, I'm not putting any of these guys on Jokic's level or even like a prime version of Steph or LeBron's level. I'm just saying I would bet on Ant being a guy who can be that. Maybe not this year, but you have the guy to build around. Whereas the Kings, do the Kings have a guy you could see ever being the best player? That's my point. I think there's 10 or so teams who have guys who can still, if you put the right team around them, they could lift the trophy. And Steph is one of those guys. I think Wemby is one of those guys. Again, probably isn't going to happen. Yeah. It might not happen next year, but my point is they clearly got a guy who will be that guy, whether it's in the next 12 months.
I think he will be that guy. He may be that guy now.
He might. You're right. But
Draymond said he's like a top 15 guy in the league, and I was like, that's absurd.
And then you start doing the math.
I'm like, wait a second. Right.
You get to 8.
You're right.
And I guess my point that I'm trying to make is if you have a situation where you have a guy who you can say that about, which only a third of the league or less can, you go for it. You have to go for it.
Yeah. I think it is malpractice not to go for it. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Yes.
And every indication I have makes me think they're going to try. Now, whether they do something this summer, that's a different conversation. That's not the one we're going down, but I do think they have a responsibility to explore every avenue as long as Steph is playing at this level, given what he is capable of. I mean, they have by far. You rewatch some of the stuff, and it's just disgusting how the defense respects 0 players on the Warriors other than 30 and half of 11. Like, Clay still gets shooter respect, but that's it.
It was after I think I retweeted this. I would like to give credit to who it was, but I can't remember. But it's on my Twitter if you want to look at it from a few days ago. It was after Joker just barbecued Gobert in game 5, I guess that was. They had a graphic about how good he was, how good Joker was in post-ups and one-on-one possessions, and ISOs and post-ups, one-on-ones. And it was over the last 5 seasons, and Joker, I think, was number 1 in points per possession. My point is Steph was like 5th or 6th, and his number of chances, his number of ISO possessions was, I think it was like 535 over the last 5 seasons, including the playoffs.
It was,
and Joker had like 2,600 of them or something. It's because Steph never sees single coverage, ever. Yeah. He had by far and away the fewest chances of anybody that was that efficient. It's because some of it is because of the Warriors system and how much Steph is off the ball, but it's also because he never sees single coverage. He is still that good. And you and I've talked about this for years, that the franchise is never going to get a guy as good as Steph Curry was. It's just not going to happen ever again. He's going to be the 4th or 6th or 8th or wherever you have him, best player ever. The franchise will never do. I don't think this franchise is ever going to get another player as good as Steph Curry is right now still. So yes, it is absolutely, yeah, there it is. Yep. So it is absolutely imperative that you go and do everything you can to give that guy a chance. You're never going to get another one.
And to your point, like, this is kind of the Warriors' biggest issue, which is, look, Looney fell off in a way that I don't know if he can ever come back from, but no one was guarding him. Draymond has never really been guarded as a scorer, but he does so many other things, including passing and the two-man game with Steph. It's okay. Wiggins' shot fell off for most of the year, and defenses really don't respect him. Just watch the film. They don't guard him. Kuminga also does not get guarded to the three-point line. A lot of what they did was just getting him cutting, that sort of thing. Clay still gets guarded because he could shoot, but Clay has a bunch of other issues. They just put a team around Steph where defenses are like, yeah, Clay, go game 6 on us. Prove you can do it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Wiggins.
And he will 1 out of 8 times.
Or even like Wiggins, okay, you hit 2 threes. You're not going to – I don't believe you're going to take 20 shots, buddy. I don't believe you can get 30 points. So we'll live with you having a hot first quarter where you go 2 for 3 for 6 points, you know? Like that's kind of what it comes down to. And, you know, the Warriors just kind of – they need to insert some impact talent into the starting lineup just to take some pressure off 30. Because, you know, you look at this graphic of players in one-on-one scenarios, and the thing that does jump out is Steph gets less one-on-one opportunities than anyone. And I agree with you. Part of it's system, but part of it is, why would we ever guard him one-on-one? What do they put around him that makes us want to have to play him straight?
You're not,
you know?
Like 2019 finals, Alfonso McKinney is not doing it for you?
Right. And then you look at the other players on here, it's like, look, Jokic is the best player in the league right now, but Jamal Murray can score on anyone. Michael Porter Jr. shoots it like prime Klay Thompson. KCP cannot be left open. He will hit an open shot if you leave him wide open. And then Aaron Gordon's their only guy who's not a shooting threat, but he's such an athlete to the rim, and they use him in other ways that it works. But the point is, he has enough guys around him that it's tough. It's tough to put 2 to 3 guys on him, because if you put 2 to 3 guys on him, Porter or MPJ are going to kill you. And I can keep going down the list. I don't know. I get annoyed whenever anyone brings up the Steph is slowing down thing, when it's just like, I mean, sure. In the
he's
sense
not the best or second best or third best player in the world. Now he's the 6th or the 8th. Yeah, okay.
But
he's
it's also
so
like,
good that you have to build around him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I want to get to some interesting stuff we read, but first, I want to tell you about my play.
Okay. I want to hear it.
On Sunday. So we're recording this on a Friday. Most of you are probably going to listen to this before.
Oh, this is your Game 7 picks. Yeah.
These are my Game 7 picks for Nuggets Wolves. I'm taking Jokic's over on points and assists. I don't know how Jokic is going to dissect the Wolves. I just refuse to believe he's not going to have a great game.
Right. I don't know how he's going to do it, but I know he's going to do it.
Yeah, it could be 48 points and 2 assists because they want him to be a scorer. It could be more of the classic Jokic, like, 20, 27 and 13 type of game. It's happening either way. He's getting over 38.5 points and assists. That's where I'm at. And then on the flip side, I don't care how many defensive player of the years he has. Rudy Gobert in a Game 7. I know. Can you envision a context where Rudy Gobert comes through in the clutch against Jokic?
No.
I think he's gonna shrink up. I think everyone defending him is kind of embarrassing themselves. It's whatever. I'm just like,
if I got fumbles and turnovers and offensive fouls on illegal screens, I think I would have to go over here. But no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, he could still get the over on the 22.5, but fuck it, I'm gonna be a hater. So I'm gonna, you know what? Sometimes you got to stand for something. Sometimes.
Yes, right.
And this is where I'm standing on this topic.
Stand on business.
Hey, man. At end of the day, you got to stand for something, guys. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100x your cash. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had, winning with up to 100x my money this basketball season. Look, I don't like the fact that the Warriors aren't in it, but PrizePicks allows me to at least have some fun with these games instead of just being miserable that I don't get to watch Steph play. You know what? It is what it is.
It makes sense.
I'm not going to lie.
Have a little fun with it.
Yeah. And James Harden have been good to me. Betting against them has put a little money in my pocket.
The PrizePicks hate watch. I love it.
So everyone, make sure download the app today and use the code LIGHTYEARS for your first deposit match up to $100. That's right. You put 100 in, they give you free 100. $200 right there. PrizePicks, guys. I also want to tell you about Unified. Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by the Energy Enhancement System, or the EES system. If you haven't heard of the EES system, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in the Bay Area or the hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to the center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EES system technology for yourself? Just go to unifiedhealing.com/lightyears to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/lightyears. Okay, my man, I want to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. One of my favorite things during the playoffs is when we get that article drop. Yeah. The minute the final buzzer hits. Yeah. Where they've been sitting on that one for weeks. Yeah. Hey, we got it last year. We got it last year at the
month
Warriors.
Of reporting on it. And yeah.
And so, our friends over at The Athletic, they posted an article on the Cleveland Cavaliers who got eliminated Wednesday or Thursday against the Boston Celtics. It's just about dysfunction in the organization. You guys can go read it yourselves, but Cliff Notes, they're basically coming to a head with the idea that Garland and Mitchell can't play together. It doesn't sound like they want to play together in general. It sounds like Garland doesn't want to play next to Mitchell, or, just judging by the reporters, a certain agent leaked that he wants his client in a different situation. And then the Mobley Allen thing, I think everyone's kind of wondered how that would work long-term because end of the day, they're both centers. Mm-hmm. Seems like that's coming to a head as well. There was a bit of annoyance about Jarrett Allen missing the playoffs. And there's even been reports coming out since then, like Brian Windhorst saying, I would just say there's extreme interest and excitement probably from certain fan bases to go on the trade machine around Donovan Mitchell, but I think the Cavs are going to spend more time this month looking at the possibility of trading Jarrett Allen and what it can bring. And so I'll start there. Overall, are you surprised that the Cavs are kind of at this position where they have to pick between two small guards and pick between two centers?
No, they should have done this
a year
at
ago.
The deadline and a year ago. So no, but this one is complicated because they have to figure out which path they're going to go down first. Because, the Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley pairing just plainly doesn't work. But the one way in which it does work is to make up for the terrible perimeter defense that they have with Garland and Donovan Mitchell,
6'1" guards,
right? So having two all defensive team centers back there to protect everything at the rim has kind of made that feasible, but offensively it doesn't work. I do think another interesting twist of this was, I think in the same athletic piece that you mentioned, one of the notes in it was that led to Clutch Sports saying if Donovan is around, we're going to look for other spots for Darius Garland, was that it has been a widely held belief around the league that Donovan Mitchell this summer is going to force his way to the Knicks, the Nets, or the Lakers, were the rumors.
Yeah, because he's from New York. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that now all of a sudden, it's the Cavs are possibly leaking. I don't know where, you always have to follow who benefits from whatever gets leaked. But so I would guess it's the Cavs are leaking that they feel like there's momentum or there's a good chance they can get Donovan Mitchell to sign an extension. I think that was kind of the most surprising development in this. The small little guys pairing and the big guys pairing, that needing to be broken up doesn't surprise me at all. I think they've been waiting a little bit to see if Evan Mobley can ever figure out how to shoot a basketball, and he can't. So those two guys can't play together.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the reporting suggests that Jarrett Allen might be the first chip to go. Do you think there's any scenario where they trade Evan Mobley? No, I know he's due for a huge extension, and one could argue while he's really good, he hasn't shown himself to be a max guy just yet. Like, he's not Anthony Davis. You know what I mean? He's not.
He's going to get a max, but he's not a max guy.
Yeah.
Jarrett Allen has one of the best contracts in the league. So
right, and then that's the other part of it. It's like Jarrett Allen is such a value contract. Like, he's like you said,
it's 20 a year flat.
Second team or third team all defensive caliber type of guy. He won't win a defensive player of the year for what it's worth, although they give those out to bums anyway. But I mean, he is. I don't know. Is he a top 5 rim protector? He's somewhere around there. Yes. He's pretty good.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. He's on the short list of better defensive centers. And look, he doesn't solve the Warriors' issue of shot creation around Steph Curry.
He does not.
But the beauty of the Warriors is they got multiple issues. And
just pick one. Throw a dart, and you have an issue to solve, huh?
I mean, I'm a huge small ball proponent. I think this year officially broke me into the idea that they need to consider a center. Unless they luck into 4 all-world wings, which as time goes on, we're seeing small ball more worked because of a confluence of wings that they had more than anything else.
The interesting thing, it's called small ball, but it actually wasn't that small. And what it actually means is skill ball. The Warriors didn't play anybody who didn't have skill.
Correct.
But they weren't small, right? The wings were KD and Iguodala and Livingston, and Clay is not small.
Sure.
It wasn't actually that small.
No, not at all. All right, what would you think of Jarrett Allen on the Warriors? Where's your appetite with him? Because let me frame it this way. On the one hand, he would be the best rim protector they've had since Bogut. Pure rim protector. Unless you're counting
Draymond.
Best defender they've had, period. He could do a little bit of everything. But first time they've had a 7-footer who blocks shots at the rim, rebounds, does things in a traditional sense since Bogut. Strong finisher. He's got good hands.
Mm-hmm.
Not much of a shot creator for others. Maybe you can unlock it a little bit, but to date, I haven't seen him do that. Hasn't been his role. And he doesn't shoot the ball. So he's just going to play like a pure center, something they haven't had in a long time.
Yeah, I would guess for Warriors fans, I would say he's a bigger, better version of, not quite as athletic, but a bigger, better version of TJD, probably. That's the kind of stuff you're going to get. He's going to block shots. He's going to set screens. He's going to catch lobs and finish. Mm-hmm. TJD is a little bit more skilled, but he's a better version of the stuff that was so glaring when TJD would come on the floor that didn't exist on the Warriors previously. Those things, Jarrett Allen's a better version of that. Like I said, he has one of the better contracts in the league. My concern, though, is, and I mean, look, the Warriors did kind of make this work at the end of the year with Draymond and TJD, who's not much of a shot creator like Allen. I just worry that that's going to be asking a lot of Steph and whoever else, whether that's Wiggins and Clay again, or
everyone
whoever
else needs to be a shooter,
or Pods, or Steph and Pods and whoever, because there's not going to be a lot of room to operate with Draymond and Jarrett Allen on the floor together.
There is a natural trade here because the thing that Cleveland has zero of is wings.
Correct.
Max Strus, their only wing. He's not really a wing per se.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna
Anyway,
leave Okoro alone. So I was gonna say, but I'm gonna leave him alone.
Andrew Wiggins has been down for a couple of years, but you could see how they might value Wiggins more than an average team because they don't have a route to get a guy who can potentially be as good as Wiggins has been.
Yeah, I mean,
And
if
their
you
contracts
can
match a little bit.
still leave. Yeah, what is Wiggins like 24 or
6,
something like that? 26.
25,
Yeah,
26.
so
Pretty
the
close.
Cavs would have to find some, whatever, a couple million, somebody that they have no use for, and throw them in. But that's quite doable.
The Warriors would probably have to throw in a pick.
Yes, they would.
At minimum.
Yes, they
would. To make this happen.
Yep.
Do you think there's going to be a huge market for Jarrett Allen? This is what I'm coming down to.
Yeah, I do.
You keep mentioning as one of the best contracts in the
Mm-hmm.
NBA, which I can't argue with. Starting center who gives you 16 and 11, commands the paint, and I know he missed the playoffs. We played 77 games this year.
Yeah, and he's an all,
and he's 26.
He's a all defensive team level defender, whether he makes it this year or not,
sure,
whatever. But he is that level of player. So somebody who catches lobs, sets a bunch of screens, rebounds well, and is let's call him a top 6 or 8 defensive center in the league. Yeah. That's worth some money.
Yeah, I mean, part of me is saying like you look at the NBA, like Dallas, they have 2 guys who do what he does. Maybe not as well as him, but I don't think they're looking to move off of Gafford and Lively for Jarrett Allen. No. OKC, maybe they want him. That's actually honestly a perfect fit now that I'm looking at it. But I'm going down the list. Denver, they got Jokic. Minnesota, they got their bigs. The Clippers, Zubac. Like a lot of teams have their center situation solved. So part of me wonders, while he's a good player and typically a player who's 25, 26 on a contract that's better than what they get on the free agency market today, usually like commands a lot. I'm wondering if he commands less because there's not a lot of teams that need centers, just keep it on the list. Sacramento Kings don't need a center.
I do not.
The Memphis Grizzlies, I don't know. Spurs, I don't know.
He'd be great. He'd be great in Washington. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. I mean, Phoenix has nothing to trade, but he would be perfect in Phoenix. They have nothing to give up. Though.
He's what they need. They need guys like him who don't want the ball in their hands but impact winning. So
it's not DeAndre Ayton. I mean,
or Nurkic, really. So
yeah, I mean, Nurkic does other things well, but Nurkic just sucks. I mean, that's a good point. Like Utah has their big situation figured out. I'm trying to think of teams that are a little lower down in the standings who are more likely to have draft capital that Cleveland is going to want.
I guess OKC's they're not lower. They're not lower down in the standings, but they have both money and draft capital.
Yeah, they have 37 potential draft picks over the next 7 years. Yeah, I mean,
they might look at this playoffs as like, you know what, perfect player to put next to Chet, so we don't have to play small all the time.
I mean,
well, I guess I just traded him.
I was going to say I would not, and that would because Chet can handle a little bit, and because he can space. He is a threat, as the Warriors saw twice. He is a threat from 3. That kind of works. You play like 2 centers together. If one of them can shoot, it's why Aaron Gordon can play center for the Nuggets, because Joker has to be guarded as soon as he touches the ball. So. Yeah, I mean, I do like that fit in OKC, and that gets back to the kind of the Warriors problem. And there were rumors also I saw about, I think it was Nick Claxton, about the Warriors having some interest in Nick Claxton, which makes sense. He's a similar player to Jarrett Allen, but you run into the same issues, right? You run into the same. I also thought that the reason OKC was brought up is because I think when the Nick Claxton rumors were out there, I was like, he'd fit in OKC. I would worry. I think you may have some of the issues that they have in Cleveland, right? With they don't have the Warriors shooting in Cleveland, but with Mobley, Draymond replacing Mobley, I think there would be maybe some offensive issues there.
Yeah. Before I got a couple more things I want to get to on this, but before we get to that, let me tell you guys about my friends at GameTime. GameTime is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA. We're getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down closer as it gets to tip-off. The Warriors aren't in the playoffs, but you can also use GameTime to get Giants tickets, A's tickets, concert tickets, whatever tickets it is you want. Just browse through the GameTime app and pick any specific game or matchup that you're interested in, you'd love to attend, and get to it. Earlier this year, I was looking to go to the Warriors Spurs game. I wanted to see Wemby in person. Yep. It's like every now and then the player comes to the league. You're like, I got to see him live. I got to see what it's all about.
Yep.
And, I was looking on the Warriors ticket marketplace, and tickets were predictably more than I wanted to spend, particularly since it was a game that Steph was maybe not going to play, and the Warriors were not playing particularly well. Draymond was not there. I wasn't ready to pay top dollar for that Warrior experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I get on the GameTime app day before the game, and all of a sudden I'm finding tickets much more in the range I thought I was going to pay initially. Yep. And so I did. I got them. I got great seats. I was in the lower bowl. I was in, I think, 122, row 15. So even better seats than I thought I was going to get.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at how affordable they were on GameTime relative to what I was seeing on other ticket marketplaces. So make sure to get your GameTime app, last minute deals, save up to 60%. Get it done. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Just download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code LIGHTYEARS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, code LIGHTYEARS, and you get $20 off that first purchase. And the last thing I'll say about that, $20 off the purchase with the discounted tickets you can find on there last minute. You will be going to a Giants or A's game for free on LIGHTYEARS. That's what I'm telling you right now. So use the promo code. We'll see you guys there.
Was that the back-to-back, the losses that killed the season, the Bulls and then the Spurs, the back-to-back Bulls and Spurs losses that killed the season?
No. It's actually the Warriors won against the Spurs, the one I went to, and Wemby played really bad. It was one of those games where they couldn't get him the ball, no clues going on, but it was right before Christmas, so it was in late December.
Okay,
it was during the Draymond.
It was early. Got it. Yeah.
It was during the Draymond suspension. It was not a aesthetically pleasing basketball game. There was a lot of
Spurs did not play a lot of those.
No, and it was a point guard night. So Steph running around off ball while Chris Paul just handled. Ugh. It wasn't the greatest game ever, but you know what? That's kind of why I wanted to get a deal on the tickets.
Yeah,
I had a feeling I was not going to see the 2016 Warriors that night. So it was still cool to see him. Like even though he pops on the screen in person, you're just like, God, dude's huge.
He's an alien.
Yeah. And I will say, even though it was a somewhat boring game, there were a few of those moments where Warrior players just like passed up shots and moved in the other direction when he was like 10 feet away. Just like I think people are going to start talking about Wemby's defensive gravity or use an annoying term like that. But like, it's a very real thing where you're just like, that dude's very large.
Pushes people away from the rim, right? What is it like? What are the magnets that push away from each other, kind of thing? Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Was that the game? Didn't Kuminga have like a baseline turnaround over Wemby that was pretty impressive? I think I remember that. It was that was like Wemby was shaking his head that he couldn't get to it.
I don't remember that specifically. I remember it being an incredibly boring Chris Paul show that night. That's what it was.
I can't imagine a Chris Paul show being boring. How is this possible?
Oh. Okay, I found it. It was actually in November. I was wrong. It was during the first Draymond suspension. But yeah, it was a Chris Paul 10 assist, 0 turnover masterclass off the bench.
Hooray.
Yeah. Anyway.
So Steph was 7 of 11 from the field or some nonsense like that.
Oh no, he shot the ball well.
Okay.
He just wasn't allowed to dribble the ball. So it was one of those nights. Anyway, I'm glad that season's over for us. All right, let's get back to Jarrett Allen real quick, and then we can hop out of here. So if I told you the Warriors could get him for Wiggins and 1 first-round pick, would you do that? Or are you still kind of the you only have so many picks, and they need to kind of consolidate for a bigger move.
Yeah, because I think the main, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be a star. I think you would want it to be, but I think the Warriors' biggest deficiency, assuming Draymond is going to still be on the team and only gets suspended once and is available when it matters,
closer
and in
to
playoffs,
70 than 50 games. Yeah.
Yes. I think the defense is going to be okay. I think the Warriors' biggest issue is nobody reliably puts the ball in the basket other than Steph, nor does anyone create for themselves or anybody else other than Steph reliably. Pods can do it here and there. Every once in a while, Wiggins will look engaged, and he'll start putting the ball on the floor and trying to do a few things. But I think the Warriors' the biggest missing piece is just somebody who reliably can get buckets or get their teammates buckets. Yeah. So for the 15th year in a row, it's not only on Steph. And so because there is if you said if you said CP3 and a pick, then I would probably say yes. But I just think that there is, you guarantee the 20 million or 18 million you would need to make the salaries work, and you give them a first round pick. Hopefully you can protect it reasonably well. Although if you're only giving up CP3, then you're probably not going to get great protections on the pick you give up. But I think centers are, because he's not a great fit offensively with Draymond, and because centers are replacement level for centers is a lot higher than it is for other positions. I think I would
your team
prioritize
team hold the assets and make a bigger swing.
Or a more offensive minded swing, I guess is what I would say.
Okay. If they did get Jarrett Allen in the trade I said, would they be better next year?
Better next year than they were this year, or better next year than they would be without the trade?
No, than what they were this year.
Yes.
2 wins.
Yeah, but also no, I think they would be like 5 or 6 wins better, because Draymond was gone for so long, and Jarrett, there was no even reasonable replacement for Draymond defensively. And Jarrett Allen's not nearly as good as Draymond, but he can anchor a good defense.
They had the 30th ranked defense when Draymond was suspended. You got to imagine if you have Jarrett Allen back there, you'll be average.
Yeah.
As opposed to unplayable bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's just better. He is just a better player than Wiggins was last year.
I think I would do the trade, but a lot of it's in context of what else you're doing. Because the way I look at it is they still need to get another offensive-minded player. If they can get both, that's amazing. But I don't know if that exists. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it. You guys hit subscribe. Leave your thoughts. Let us know if the Warriors should make the